Yes.
Opposed, no. Passes. Moving on to approve the minutes, financial statements, and list of bills. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
I had a question on a Visa bill. All it says is Visa. Is that ever broke down? Ever? It's like $3,400.
It is broken down.
You're welcome.
All those in favor of approving the minutes, financial statements, and list of bills, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Passes. Thank you, everyone, for coming in tonight. Once again, remind you that we are being recorded, so to let you know. First on the agenda here is the resignation of the Superintendent Eric Nelson. I believe you guys have a resignation in your packet.
I'd like to say a couple of things. First of all, what the paper had was not correct. We'd like to clarify that. Last summer, we had my last evaluation, which was positive. And I offered the board at that time to leave a year early on my contract. I have a 3-year contract, which ends June 30th. I left the board alone, and I said, you decide what you want to do. If you'd like to have me leave, I'll leave. When we finish my last year of my contract, I'll leave. And so I came back, it's a 6-to-1 vote. They liked him to finish. They liked the progress we made academically, and the only no vote was no lose. I have to say that I'm very, very proud of what this faculty and students have done here. It's a miraculous change for a lot of areas in academics. We went from site to school and up to 0. And that's credited to our faculty. They worked their butts off. Our students joined the encouragement of our faculty that focus on reading, math, science, and all other subjects. So it's the focal point of celebrating that is helps them immensely. But again, I'm really proud of what this faculty has done, and I encourage them to continue in the future once I'm gone. I'm hoping they'll focus on that. I also hope that they'll take a good look at help everybody try to stop the open enrollments going out. It's not, we're up to 126. So that's an area everybody has to do a lot better job. I don't know what the total number is where we jeopardize. Some really big things coming down in finance, and our governor is proposing giving $3 billion of our money away for the water control, which is great to fix that. But everything seems to come out of education money, and we need to somehow advocate better. I went from first in the nation when I started as superintendent to went on, and we're probably going to be bottom 10 next year. We'll see where the money goes in the legislature this year. We took money last year that we should have received. State had growth of 7%. You have to really take a good look at all 4 towns to keep them together. I'm not satisfied how hard this board has worked, or I've worked to keep all 4 and part of this community. We need every single town. We can't lose any of them. We can't lose any kids. The future is based on finance and open enrollments. I would encourage you to do the best you can in that area, but I do want to thank the boards that I've worked with who see the big picture, and I really appreciate that. I'm going to miss the kids and the faculty here greatly. I'm
second.
Aye.
You want a second?
I'll second.
Okay, now you can make your comments, Jane.
I just have one question for Mr. Nelson. Was it always your intention to, resign and leave Belmont County at the end of this year?
I was until Mr. Lutz came and saw me at Christmas and said he had 4 votes to buy my contract out. I said, if you wanna do that, I'll agree to that. I don't think it's the best interest of the district, but, if you got 4 people that feel that strongly and they wanna do that, that's fine.
Did you hear my question?
Repeat it, please.
Was it always your intention to resign and leave Belmont County at the end of this school year?
No, I think the board elections solidified that.
Okay, a motion and a second to accept the resignation of Mr. Kirk Nelson. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. All right, motion passes. I jumped over the reports from our directors and administration, so I'm gonna cut back. Trish, I'll let you go first.
Just something that is going to be happening in the future. We have a concern about our phone system that was put in, when the elementary was built. It was a Nortel phone system. The company has since been bought out by another company. They no longer make parts for the system, and it's actually obsolete, way end of life. It's been that way for 3 years, like technology typically ends up being. I have some companies coming in to look at the system to see what it will cost us to actually either revamp, adjust it, or replace it. So far I've gotten one, quote bid, and I have another one coming in tomorrow, and then I have Frontier coming in, the following week to get us some information on what our alternatives are. So it's something that's very important that functions, and we need to find something that will work for us long-term, that we can actually update and upgrade and add to. So it's just something that's coming up soon, and will be presented when we get that information.
Trish, did you say that was just with the elementary school?
It's actually, the primary, unit is in the data room at the elementary school, but it's for the whole district.
Inform us why we're recording tonight.
Pardon me?
We're recording tonight, I'd just like to know where I see we're going to our BK website, that's something new.
Right. There's a lot of school districts that actually record their board meetings. Quite a few of them actually, stream it live on the Cube. And it was something that we're gonna test out and see, how it goes. There's a lot of community members that I'm understanding that want to see what's going on. And Mr. Nelson had asked that we started doing the recordings.
We're from a few districts that do not do that. This way, the public wants to see what it is.
Kevin, I'm happy to speak to this.
We had our auditors come this week and finish up our audit from fiscal year 14-15, and they will be providing us with a report here within the next couple of weeks with all final notes. And I think overall went very well, and I don't think there was any issues or anything like that that are major that need to be addressed whatsoever. So that's the major thing. I'll keep it short. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Sarah?
Get out of my corner here, see people.
Thank you.
At Jacobson, we're doing several things. This is that time of year for testing again. We will have the fast winter testing period, which is a reading fluency and comprehension test that's coming up February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And so we'll be working on that. Our letters went out for our after-school tutoring program. I was hoping to start that. The past several years, we've started it in March, which runs, the majority of the program was falling after basic or Iowa assessments. So we've moved that up to February 1st. And so we'll front load that a little bit, and try and get a little bit power out of it. In the classroom, I challenged my teachers to be creative in their classrooms and to really look at challenging all the students regardless of their ability, whether it's extra interventions for the lower students or really challenging the higher students. You know, that in addition to the fact that they're working with the core and a lot of that is new to them or in its early stages. Boy, did that pack a punch, and have I seen some really cool things coming out of the classroom. You'll be seeing things like Change the World projects from the 6th graders, and they have worked very, very hard on that. A little stressful on parents and students. And you'll see, hopefully, we're starting on Monday, so, and I've got a preview of it, but hope to present at the next board meeting. Our daily announcements, which we usually do over the intercom, will be coming via video and the green screen. So the students actually record it in front of a green screen and then pop whatever background they need into create the scene that they want, which could lead to a lot of other things like student interviews, artist of the week, previews for concerts, and the kids are really, really excited about that, and I was really proud, you know, people stepped up, and Trish has been very good and very supportive. It's like, okay, we know we can do this, let's just go, figure it out as we go, and that's what we've done, and that's what my staff is doing. So very, very proud of them for that. As far as professional development at Jacobson, we're working in our PLCs. Our last professional development, we took PLCs, I'm sorry, professional learning communities. I know you hate those. And most of it is grade range based, where kindergarten and first grade teachers are together, second, third, and fourth are together, and fifth and sixth are together. Preschool is kind of an ad hoc. They sometimes are in with the kindergarten teachers, sometimes on their own. It's just kind of a different beast. Things don't always apply the same way. So we've kind of made that kind of a fluid group. But this last Wednesday, we took a step back and really took a look at student-centered coaching and what that means. Trying to give a little bit more information about the teacher leadership program and what that might look like, and just awesome conversations. It's really nice as educators to be able to have philosophical and those deep, meaningful conversations instead of just trying to keep your head above water. And I was very, very proud of them for that. Questions about what's going on at Jacobson?
I have one question. I went to the Teach Iowa website yesterday, and for Belmont Clemmy, only the high school positions have been advertised, and I was wondering when the elementary positions will be on the Teach Iowa
Well,
website, if you know.
Yeah. One of the things that we need to do is get the teacher leadership. Okay, so we know who's retiring. Then we need to get the teacher leadership positions hired, because we could have one or two hired out of the elementary. That would be out of the classroom. Then you have to post internally, let everybody move and apply within, and there are time frames for that, which is why we're trying to push the hiring on the teacher leadership program up, because it takes a lot longer than it sounds like it takes. Once we have those in order, once we get the internal shifting done, then we can post externally. So.
I think a big part is how many teachers do we need? We're very scared over the preschool numbers are way down.
Preschool numbers are way down this year.
They're not all over every town around us. The others, do we have any classes that are going from 3 sections to 2, versus vice versa? So she's looking at all.
So we don't know. The other difference between the elementary and high school is my teachers all have the similar certification, and so they can bump all over the place. Where at high school, it's subject specific, and so say the industrial tech, it's not like somebody internally is certified to do that. So that's why those hit before. Everybody in my building is certified to move into any one of my positions. Except my specials.
Budget. We have done some schedules. We have the expert coming next month
because we've got, you know, we'll have some savings from those retirements, then we'll plug in, you know, what we need to do for numbers, you know, and that's always a guesstimate. Like you said, the preschool numbers are low, and my big numbers are moving to the junior high school. And, so then you kind of revamp from there and then figure out where you are and what you're gonna need. So, does that help?
It does.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure that everyone understands, I think it's important that we replace people who have direct contact with kids, you know, not just people that don't.
Oh, okay, yeah, no. No, we just have, we're not there yet, timing-wise.
Sir, just one more question. I don't quite understand how this works. I know you have to open it up for the internal people, but you can't legally advertise prior to that.
You can front load it a little bit by putting anticipated in, but we're not at a point where we even know our numbers. I can't even anticipate an opening yet.
I just don't wanna get behind on it.
Yeah, no, we're pushing really hard to not be behind. Because everybody's doing the same thing, with so many schools coming up on the teacher leadership. So like when Des Moines says, oh, we're hiring 300 teachers, that's all playing into that. They're taking teachers out of the classroom, replacing them with, you know, new hires.
Thank you.
That.
Eric, you back there?
We're finishing up our finals, tomorrow, we have 2 more.
Very
We're finishing up our finals, we have 2 more tomorrow, after that, we'll start our second semester on Monday. I'll be presenting later on chapter 12, which is basically what drives districts. It's what the DE gives us when we do a site visit. And it outlines kind of what the classes we have to teach and the things that we have to teach in the high school and junior high. I'm not gonna speak on the elementary, it's a little different, I guess you could say. But I made a sheet there for you and we'll talk about that in just a short amount of time.
Is there anybody I missed out there who wants to give a report? Okay, thank you. Employment. We have a business office assistant board secretary position. I'm having a hard time with this because I don't think I've been informed well enough yet with our budget. And we'll see our budget next month. I was hoping we could possibly table this until next month and see where we're coming out with the budget.
This position you need, it's not one you're gonna be able to eliminate. Critical in the office. My guy, we had 1 person, we now have 3. The audit's gonna tell you segregation of duties again, but I don't see 1 person doing 2 jobs.
Okay, I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
What is your motion, Scott?
To hire Josephina Barkema as business office assistant,
Okay.
board secretary.
Is there a second? Okay.
Is that an hourly? It's hourly. It'll be fine.
Okay, is there any more discussion?
Yes, I think, it would be wise also to hold off and wait a while for our budget. We don't know where we're at, and maybe even our new superintendent would like some input into this. That's my thought.
Jane, your new superintendent won't start July unless you're going to.
Pardon me?
This is a position you can't go without.
Yes, I realize that.
Okay.
I think we should hold off on hiring now.
Okay, thank you, Jane. Okay, there's been a motion and a second to hire Josephine Barkema, business office associate, or assistant and board secretary. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay.
She's my wife.
Heidemann, preschool associate.
This is a special ed position that we have to have.
There's been a motion by Jim, is there a second?
I'll second.
Sherry seconds.
Is this means that we have to have this? My question is the funding coming out of the general fund?
No, special education.
Okay.
That's determined by IEP.
Actually, some of the extra money that we had,
This is out of the special ed budget for this year.
okay.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to hire Kami Heidemann as a preschool associate. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Okay, we have the TLC report. Eric, did you want to start, or you got somebody else that? Sarah, okay.
Ready, gang? Come on. I'm not going alone. I brought cheat notes.
I think that's what we do.
I thought it was important to give another teacher leadership kind of a quick overview of what our program is hopefully going to look like. When I think it's funny that the one presenting now is the one that wasn't here during this whole thing. I get part of being the newbie. Anyway, with so many new board members, you guys haven't really heard what the program is and what it is. This is a state-funded program. It's to have teachers assume leadership roles, and it's funded on a per pupil basis, actually $312.68 per student. And schools had to apply for this program in order to get it. We actually, there's a group on their second year, there's a group on their first year. We were accepted last year, we were kind of 2.5 as an automatic in for the third year, and then there are some that were just accepted a couple weeks ago. So we'll be heading into this for next year, and that's what I was referring to, that we've got to sit back and kind of see where things come out before we can actually post my elementary positions internally. Anybody want to talk to this? Grant requirements? I found things.
Ellie, you're more knowledgeable. I will say the process that was involved is there was a committee that was selected of administration, teachers. They got together, they helped write the grant, and rewrite the grant, I should say, because it happened several times. We got together, wrote the grant, submitted it again. That's when we were accepted. The process itself is what I'll talk about is there's really 3 levels of teacher leaders that you're looking at. You're looking at the TLC coordinator, which is a full-time position at the top. Below that are 2 instructional leaders. I think they're instructional leaders in each building, and they're full-time. Again, those have to be existing staff that you pull out of the classroom, and you make, well, you don't make them, they apply and they get hired to do these positions. And then you have, what are the, we put in for 12 team leaders. And those people would stay in the classroom, but they would be those people who help in a number of different tasks within each building. We had 6 allotted to each building. We're going to do what we can to get those 6, if we can. I think we had, the grant says that we have to try to get 25% of our staff involved in this. And that's about where it is with those numbers. Right now, the funding formula is outside of the regular funding formula, which means it's additional money not going into the general budget, or it's not funded that way.
It will all be categorical, so can only be spent in this program.
One of the things you're gonna see later on is the memorandum of understanding. That's just a way for those people who are going to go into those top 3 positions, for them to not lose their seniority, and a way for them, if the money is cut somehow, some way, they can go back into positions.
Or if they just don't like it.
Yes.
Because these are pretty high stress jobs, and can be, especially if people are doing them really, really well. And I like to talk about, teachers are at different places in their lives, and maybe they wanna wait a couple years, I'm interested in it, but I'm not, my family's young yet, or, hey, my family's all grown, I have time to do this, I wanna do this before I retire. There's all kinds of things, you know, in people's personal lives that play into, are they interested in a leadership position? I think everyone in my building is qualified, not everyone's gonna apply. So, or not everyone wants to be in that position, or likes that kind of thing. That's important to remember, as well. I looked up on the DE website, there is people wanna know what it looks like. Well, no one knows until we do it. This is kind of a learn by doing kind of situation. We went to a meeting last week, I looked on the website, and there are over 70 pages on the DE website of schools that have been in the program last year or this year, and are going, oh, well, that didn't work, we have to amend it this way. And so, it's very common for schools to, once they get started, to amend it and say, oh, this wasn't quite what we envisioned. I did run, Jane, who would you like me to send yours with? I have a copy of the application.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We, Lynn's fine.
And we don't at all plan to go through all this, but all the little details are in here if you wanna look, the whole selection process, what we go through. And right now, we're gonna go, next on our list is, there'll be a question and answer section for any staff interested on the 20th after school, and we'll do the best we can to answer any questions. And then, if all goes well, if the memorandum of understanding is agreed to by the union and the board, then we're hoping to make the first 3 positions due by the 29th. Because those are the ones that take people out of the classroom, and then that we'll have to replace.
You want the applications due by the 29th?
That's best case scenario.
Now, the people who get these positions aren't going into it and just making up their job either. There's a designation of what the job is and everything in here. The AEA and the state have went out of their way to create courses for trainings this summer, and then a little bit into the year, next year, for those schools that are getting the grant coming up. So there's gonna be trainings involved in that too. One of the things that that Sarah mentioned was the student-centered coaching. That's gonna be a framework that we're gonna hopefully use. And that's kind of what the AEA 267 is using right now to help with that training.
The premise is the coaches are there to help improve student achievement, not fix people. And that takes that whole fear factor out of it, in that, you know, if I ask for help, are they gonna look down on me? The focus is gonna be totally on data and student achievement. And however we need to increase that student achievement, we're gonna go for it.
One of the fears from teachers is that, you know, I don't wanna be in a classroom and evaluating another teacher. That's really not what they're talking about. They're talking about help, and number one is mentoring new teachers is a big thing. Then you go into, okay, helping with instruction in classrooms if people need help. You know, there's, yes, that want help. So it's not one of those things where they're evaluating any teachers or anything like that. It's just there to improve the profession and to help students out in the classroom.
So is your hope then that by the February board meeting, you would know who those people are and what openings now there are to be filled?
I can't remember when we penciled that in. I think it was the week of the board meeting, like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday
Yes.
before the board meeting is when we penciled it in. And like I said, that's, you know, with the hope, if everything falls into place, how we penciled it out, with that memorandum of understanding, that's gotta be the first thing. But we wanted to give you a little background, especially with, you know, 4 new people that hadn't heard it before, so.
Biggest concern we have is the financing staying there, the funding coming from the state. We do not want to combine that with other funding and say that it's, you know, it's part of something else. It's gotta be continuous.
So my understanding there'll be 3 individuals in this program.
No, there'll be 25% of our staff, hopefully. But, yeah, 3 that will be no longer teaching. The other ones have their regular teaching duties and then take on a leadership role, say in a PLC or AIW group or whatever we need. They will be the leaders of smaller groups. But they're still in their regular classroom. So the reason we wanna get those first 3 is because those are the 3 that we gotta backfill on.
On the first page of the packet, it explains that in the bottom table.
I think it's also important to point out that we got in on year 3 grant. In theory, the state wants every school district by year 4, so a year after we would have been in, to be in the program, or basically almost mandating that every school be in this program by year 4. So we basically kind of are gonna be able to get an early year start compared to the last schools who haven't gotten a TLC grant. They're basically gonna be forced into something by then. So this way we kind of have some options we could kind of tailor to how we thought would work in the district, and we get a year's jump ahead from other people. But the whole premise of the TLC grant from the state point of view is that every school will be within this grant, or within this program by year 4.
Maybe I missed it, this is Jenny, did you say there was a committee that would choose these, leaders?
Yeah, and that process is outlined, in the, application. For this first year, it's, a committee made up of the people that, worked on the grant, and there are some that are not here tonight that worked on the grant, they had other commitments. And the intention is to hire that top position, that district learning coordinator first, and then that person would join with that committee to do the rest of the hiring. If somebody on the committee wants to apply, that's fine, then they are not part of that process.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
The board would approve the teacher learning memorandum. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Scott. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Sure.
Can you repeat the motion, please?
The motion was to accept the TLC memorandum of understanding.
Thank you.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Lisa, let's do a roll call vote, please.
Jim Swenson.
Yes.
Jane? Jane?
Yes.
Teresa Milton? Yes. Scott Hickman?
Yes.
Jackie Burke?
Yes.
Sharon Barkman?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we need to look at the calendar for next year. Calendar is in your packet. Does anybody have any questions about that?
I just have one. Since January 1st is on a Sunday, January 2nd is actually a holiday.
I believe it's a 2 full, I don't have it in front of me, but
It's
I
2 full
believe
weeks.
it's 2 full weeks. It's an extensive amount of time, so.
You don't mind missing the Rose Parade?
I'm a Big 12 fan.
Eric, I wanna ask you a question.
Yes.
The 2 weeks before Christmas, do you feel that's inappropriate, or is that too long, and we're gonna have students,
It's
losing what they had?
it's a give and take. I mean, if you don't do it from Monday, if you go to like the 22nd, 23rd, you're losing a lot of kids anyhow, because people are traveling and they're taking their kids out of school and things like that. There are a lot of districts that do it that way. It's kind of a give and take. It's what you prefer. I hate to put kids and people in that position sometimes, because then they come back and then, hey, I got a lot of makeup work now. So I think it was fine this year. We did a 2-week. I think it was fine. It was, for me, almost too long, but I think for the kids, they thought it was fine. The big thing, I think, is when we end, is the big one, because we always want to end before, if we can, before Memorial Day, if we can.
Do you know with the new conference, do they have to have games during that break time?
They have mandated that there are no games, I believe it's from the 27th through the 23rd through the 27th, I believe. So there's no activities in the buildings
Right.
at that point.
But it is possible that they might have a game on that
Yes.
Tuesday.
And we did this year. We had one on a Tuesday.
Anybody else have any questions on the calendar?
My only question, and I talked to Kirk about it, was that seems like after break they come back and have finals quite quickly, and I wondered if you thought that would affect testing at all.
Well, you can thank the governor for that. We wanted our semester test done before Christmas. You can't do that anymore. The teachers that replied to my survey really like the day before Thanksgiving. They like the day after conferences to make sure that they have some time to recoup. And they like the period at Christmas. It's a long time from Thanksgiving to that and then back to Easter. So we're trying to spread that out as much as we can. But most teachers are very favorable on this contract, or this calendar.
Could we move our spring break at all, so it wasn't so close to finals?
Spring break is for the finals. So right now, we're trying to coordinate with NIAC so our college kids can take classes and still have a break. Most of the schools are doing that for that break.
We have had a little problem with that, with just colleges starting there. If we have an early graduate, and we wait too long, some of them wanna start college right away, and they can't if they're still enrolled in high school and they're not finished. So we did have that, with one student this year who graduated, and the college they were going to, was starting a week before finals. We let them take their finals early, so they could do that. We're not gonna hold kids behind because of that. But if we go too far, too late, it'll just become that much of a problem.
We'll be bringing this calendar back in February for a public hearing and approval. Eric, you want to give us a report on the chapter 12 requirements?
I brought my book of chapter 12, and I'm not gonna go through the whole thing because it's pretty in-depth on what they expect schools to do. I tried to condense it into 2 pages for the junior, senior high, basically. And it is front and back, sorry. But it just, what it is we have certain requirements we have to graduate students. The high school requirements are here that I list, and then I have the Belmont-Clemmy graduation requirements under it. You notice there we do have like a financial literacy we require that the state doesn't. I believe the state eventually is gonna require something like that. Some of those things are in there. we're very close to the state requirements, but our kids have a lot of credits. They need 26 credits to graduate versus some places that have 23, 24 credits to graduate. Now that's not bad because our kids take a lot of classes that right now they're taking a lot of dual credit classes in which they get high school and college credit at the same time. So there are some really good things about that. But I just outlined what those requirements are for Belmont-Clemmy, and then I talked about what the state requirements are in Chapter 12. They require 6 units of English that must be offered and taught. That means we have to hold the class, 6 units, and we barely, that's what we have. We have the minimum. Same for social studies. We have the minimum. We have the 5 units. Science, we have a little bit more, and then some of that's because of the variety that you have to have in science. Obviously, we want the chemistry, physics, because you have to have those for college entrances. But we also have anatomy and physiology. We have some zoology and botany, things like that, that are they're just different sciences that kids might be interested in. We have to give them a little bit of variety. And then next to these, notice I put the teachers who teaches those type of things. And then I go into the health, the PE. I always have that question from people, can I get out of PE? No, it's required by the state of Iowa. Every semester you're enrolled in high school, you have to be in PE. Now, there are exceptions. You can sign off on that if you are involved in an activity that they approve, the state has approved on their list in Chapter 12, as an example. But for the most part, most of our kids do take PE. Fine arts must be offered and taught. They must include 2 of the following: dance, music, theater, and visual arts. And I included the teachers there. 4 sequential units of foreign language, which means if we had 2 languages, say we had German and Spanish, we had to do those 4 sequential units. And then the same thing for the career and technical education. That's our FCS, industrial tech, business, and ag. Those are our 4 CTE units, and we have to have 4. The only way we can get around that is if we share with somebody or we share with a college. Unfortunately, we're not close enough to a college to do any sharing. I really am not a proponent of putting our kids on the roads for an hour each way, and I just don't think it works. You're just losing time at that point. And then it talks about special education and gifted and talented. All this is incorporated into Chapter 12, and this is basically what they hand us when they do a site visit. They say, hey, here's Chapter 12, how do you meet that? And we show them how we meet it with documentation. So I go all the way through it. We have to have a certified librarian, media specialist. Again, with the counselor, same thing, and all through everything. Now, something I did put on here is for the at-risk funded through MAG, and MAG is Modified Allowable Growth. That's additional funding that comes to us through a grant that we have to fill out every year. That's how we fund our alternative school, at-risk coordinators. That's how we fund our reading program at the high school and the math lab at the high school. Is through Modified Allowable Growth. Try to get those kids who are struggling back up to the where they need to be. So we have all that, ELL, alternative school, so on. The junior high requirements are a little different. They're not as clear cut, but they are, they're clear cut. English language arts must be taught in each grade. Social studies, same. Math, same. Science, and on down the list. Why do we have 2 pages? Okay. I was good. It was just front and back. But that's the plain and simple Chapter 12 is what it is. If you want the whole document, you can print it out or you can look at it on the BE website. Each year they come out with small changes to Chapter 12, and we have to enforce them. As an example, at one time, as an incentive to get into a foreign language, I said to our 8th grade students, if you take fundamentals of Spanish in 8th grade and get an A or B, you can, I'm sorry, in 7th grade and get an A or B, you can take Spanish 1 in 8th grade and get it for high school credit. And then you can start your high school credit then. Well, the next year they changed chapter 12 on me. And I'm like, okay, now I have to pull all that out from under these kids. And then the following year they changed it back so that now we can do high school credit in almost anything if we choose. Kids differentiate themselves in some ways that way. So if you're in 7th grade, even 6th grade, if you're ready for Algebra 1, you can take Algebra 1 at the high school level. Now, in our graduation requirements, you need 3 years of math in high school is the difference. So they can't take math in 6th grade at the high school level and 7th and 8th grade and say, hey, I'm done. No, you have to take 3 years in high school. So we do that on purpose because we don't want kids to stop math in 7th grade or 8th grade, even 9th or 10th grade. We want them to continue on because they're going to need that if they choose to go on to college or a career. So this is plain simple what chapter 12 looks like. If you have any questions or anything, I'm free to answer them. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Eric. Pest control bids. We have one bid from Hawkeye West Pest Control. Is there a motion to approve this bid? Jim, is there a second?
I'll second.
Is this a new company that we're using?
Could you repeat the motion, please?
The motion is to accept the bid of Hawkeye West Pest Control.
Thank you.
Lynn, she was a high school graduate from here.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to accept the bid for pest control. All those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.